Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. Here's our predictions. Let's go. Hey, let's take a quick second to do a little side note. If you're getting value from this podcast, it would mean a lot to us if you could subscribe wherever you're listening. So let's make this our general agreement. If you're getting value, we'd love it if you could just click subscribe, potentially the bell button, and make our day. Cheers. Woo! We're here. It is Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. It's all happening, guys. So hope you're all buckled in. We want to run through some predictions. Some analysis and predictions.
Some predictions, yeah. We're putting our necks on the line here. It's probably worth pointing out, today we're recording this on the 19th of November, so we're a week before Black Friday week.
All right. So here's what we're going to run through, guys. We're going to run through a couple of things. One, we're going to do a little pick for when we think is going to be the peak time in the coming weeks before Christmas for sales. We've got some analysis behind why we think it's then. So that's the first thing. We're going to talk through what we think are going to be the top categories and our picks for the top categories. And then third, we are going to give a prediction for what we think will be the average growth rate. And then hopefully on the other side of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we're going to go through and just see to what extent will we right. So let's do it. Let's dive on in. Number one, peak. When do we think is going to be the peak time and why? Zamir?
So we discussed this a little bit in last week, and specifically we're saying that Black Friday is delayed and that's going to have some form of impact. And we're going to be talking about growth figures in a moment, but I think essentially the big difference we're going to see year on year is that we'll see growth this week, but not as much growth necessarily as we saw in the same week last year. And the real growth is probably going to start kicking in on the Monday. That's when we're going to see it. So Monday, the 25th of November.
Let's do some context on this. So Monday, 20th of November, that's your pick. So that's when it's going to start to come in. But in terms of why and all that stuff. So let's go for the context. So US Thanksgiving, that is going to be on Thursday the 28th.
So Thursday 28th, yeah.
Whereas last year that fell a week earlier, right? So we got all that shopping that's compressed into just the 4 weeks up until Christmas instead of it being stretched over 5 weeks. That's one element. So what's one reason? And in the second, we do a lot of heat mapping over why and when people purchase and what goes into it, right? And so one of the key analysis points that we have from our data is most purchasing occurs around paydays. Zamir, payday this year?
Payday this year, everyone will be paid by the 29th, which is Black Friday.
Exactly. So all this pent up demand for purchasing, plus the fact that people will hopefully have cash to do some purchasing. Now, obviously, cost of living, all that kind of elements coming in. But yes, money will be given to people, or their salaries will come in on the 29th. And so it's all going to rev up. The 25th is when we'll get a pickup, but our pick, the peak time will be in the week following or the few days following payday, Black Friday, and around Cyber Monday week.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it 29th, 30th, 1st and 2nd. Those are the 4 days. And we're going to see, I think, significantly higher figures than we saw on those same dates last year, in terms of Black Friday week, Black Friday to Cyber Monday weekend.
So what that translates to for brands, if you're a brand owner and you are selling and you're trying to do something around this time, one, it may be a little bit late to get stock into Amazon's warehouses or to external warehouses, but if you can fulfill yourself, you can still kind of do a whole lot of stuff around then. Two, you may not be booking a lot of deep promotions, but you can still do some activity as long as customers who are searching have a sense of perceived value. They're likely to come and purchase, right? So if you haven't already, it's not too late. There's still stuff you can do and have it optimized and ready to go and in play by Friday the 29th and for the week afterwards.
Yeah, I think the real message actually also I want to get across is don't panic. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking at their year-on-year figures and they're going to be panicking because we're going to be underperforming where we were last year. That's expected. We're anticipating that there'll be an underperformance and there'll be this lag that flows through all the way through to the 29th. I think we'll see a significant pickup on the 25th, 29th, 30th, 1st and 2nd. They're going to make up for effectively the slower 10 days. So if you're looking at year on year, do not panic.
Great. Okay. That's the first bit. Predictions in terms of when the peak time is going to come in and to make sure you got everything ready to go for then. So we're saying 29th and then the week afterwards. Next bit. Categories. Top picks for categories that will be most influenced by the peak season. Zamir, there's some interesting stuff in there. Even when I saw the numbers, I was like, what? Why this one? But I was surprised. So let's run through some of these.
Okay, yeah, no, I think they are really interesting. I'd be curious to hear which ones you are not expecting to be there. Biggest winner, toys and games. I don't think there's a surprise there.
Yeah, can we talk about the percentages on this?
So in terms of growth, toys and games, 110% year was the growth on that on Q4.
So basically, toys and games saw 101% growth based on growth from Q3.
110%.
And we're predicting the same thing around this year, around about that much, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive uplift, right? And then the one that I was surprised about, because when I think of Black Friday, I think about buying TVs, like expensive electronics, right? That wasn't number two. Number two is home and garden, which I think is really interesting. And so in that, it's a 83% uplift, which I was super surprised about.
Point is, this has got the most revenue in it as well, right? So it's an 83% uplift and it has the most revenue. Home and garden by far is the area that people spend the most money in. And I think there are a number of reasons for that. Yeah, make a lot of good gifts, but a lot of family are coming over. So there's, during the Christmas period and people are buying things for that. So maybe spare mattresses, pump-up air beds, chairs, refreshing all of the home linen, home furnishings around the house, as well as all the gifts.
Interesting. And then, of course, number three is electronics and photo. So that one is what you would expect to be. That's kind of what you see all these videos of people kind of like charge up outside stores, ready to jump in. That's usually they're kind of like fighting over the TVs and that kind of stuff, right? So that's 52% uplift.
It's a 52% uplift. Again, I'm not that surprised when you actually consider the fact that we've had two Prime Days in the last 6 months as well. So a lot of people make those purchases now, I think, throughout the year. But clearly still a lot of gifting going on here. And again, second highest category when it comes to revenue behind home and garden.
Now, the next two as well, and I think it's worth, we've mentioned the top three, but I think it's worth just flagging up the next two because it makes sense, right? The next two with 1% difference between them is health and personal care. And then the fifth one being clothing, shoes, and jewelry, which are basically highly giftable things, right? They're the things that you would gift to people. They're coming in at 42% and 41% respectively.
Yeah. And again, clothing, I think gifts as well as people going to lots of Christmas parties over that period in time. So we'll see a lot of extra spend during the month on that area.
Yeah, really interesting. So, okay, those are our picks for the top categories. So if you are a brand and you're in one of those categories, what we said in the first part is even more important. So make sure that you are ready to go to kind of maximize things. This is when businesses are built, essentially. Cool. Now, moving through then to number three, the third part, our pick for where we think growth is going to be for this year. This is funny. So if you're a brand manager and you are listening to this, you will be held to some kind of KPI and you want to see where should your growth be? What kind of growth should you be expecting? Similarly, if you own a company, same thing. You want to be knowing how much growth should you be expecting for your brand. So what's our pick, Zamir?
So the number for our year is going to be 118%. We're predicting 100. So essentially an 18% growth year on year in terms of total sales on Amazon.
Yeah. And this is compared to last year.
So this is 24 compared to 23. It's worth pointing out. So we look at this month on month. I think the highest we've been was February with 27% increase. The lowest point was probably September with only a 13% growth. But there has been year-on-year growth throughout the 12 months, and it looks like it's going to average out at 18% year-on-year across all categories.
Exactly. And it's across all categories. So some categories will be more, some will be less. It's category dependent. But on average, that's what we should look to expect. Okay, Zamir, here's my question for this week. We work out of WeWorks. I'm in a WeWork now, and they have these kind of like unisex bathrooms. And my question is, why don't home bathrooms also have cubicles? Like, why would you not have cubicles at home as well? It's such a logical thing. Instead of having like 4 bathrooms, you just have one larger room with a whole bunch of different cubicles. If it's not awkward at work, why would it be awkward at home?
I'm not suggesting it's awkward at home. I just want my own bathroom. I don't want the kids in there messing it up. So, yeah, it's not a sharing thing as much as, no, I suppose it is a sharing thing. Selfish is my space. Yeah, I don't want to share with anyone else.
Cool. Okay, great. Fine. So those are our picks for Q4, for peak season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, running through to Christmas. Pumped to see what happens on the other side. So if you are catching this after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, have a look out for the episode where we review to what extent were we right. We'll have all the data on this, which will be really interesting, so we can kind of break that down. And then hope everyone has a great Black Friday, Cyber Monday. If you're selling and if you're buying, have fun.
Good luck. One love.
One love, team.